The sound of a perfect shot echoed through the elite shooters club, followed by thunderous applause from wealthy patrons, dressed in designer shooting gear. Blake Radcliffe lowered his custom Remington, a smirk spreading across his tanned face, as the target showed another bullseye. This was his kingdom. A world where money, power, and skill created an impenetrable barrier between the elite and everyone else. But if you've ever been underestimated or made to feel invisible, you might want to stay for what happened next. The moment that changed everything. At America's most prestigious shooting range, Emma Miller stood near the entrance, clutching her worn leather purse, her simple blue cardigan and department store jeans, making her stick out like a dandelion in a rose garden. At 35, she was neither young enough to turn heads, nor successful enough to command respect in this circle. The receptionist, a young woman with immaculate blonde hair, looked up, then immediately backed down, as though Emma were merely a distraction. "Excuse me," Emma said softly. "I'd like to register for today's open practice session." The receptionist glanced up again, this time allowing her gaze to travel from Emma's sensible shoes to her simple ponytail. "Membership cards only," she replied dismissively. Emma took a deep breath, pulling out a crinkled envelope. "I have a day pass." It was a gift. Underscore 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 underscore. Across the room, Blake noticed the newcomer. At 42, he was at the peak of his career. 5-time national champion, Olympic gold medalist, the face of Remington's premium line. His family's oil fortune had given him the best training money could buy, and his natural talent had done the rest. Well, Blake drawled loudly. "Looks like someone took a wrong turn on the way to Walmart." His companions laughed on cue, drawing even more attention to Emma, who was making her way to the basic range, eyes fixed on the floor. Underscore 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 underscore. Rebecca Johnson, the club's manager, frowned at Blake's comment, but said nothing. Emma found a spot at the far end of the basic range, carefully placing her purse on the shelf. With practiced movements, she withdrew a cloth-wrapped package and unfolded it to reveal a standard Glock 19. Serviceable, but nothing like the custom pieces the club members carried. Blake and his friends had migrated closer, their interest piqued by the opportunity for entertainment. $10 says she can't hit the target, one joked. Blake scoffed. Make it $10,000. I bet she's never held a gun in her life. Underscore 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 underscore. Blake sauntered over to Emma's station. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, dripping condescension. "Are you sure you're in the right place? This isn't a knitting circle." Emma finally looked up, hazel eyes meeting Blake's icy blues, with a steadiness that momentarily threw him off balance. "I'm just here to practice," she said quietly. Blake recovered quickly. "Practice," he chuckled. "This is a place for serious shooters. $10,000 says you can't hit the bullseye from 50 yards. Emma's expression remained neutral. But something flickered in her eyes. I don't have that kind of money, she replied. Blake's smirk widened. If by some miracle you make the shot, I pay. If you miss, you leave. And never come back. Rebecca had approached, concern in her eyes. Mr. Radcliffe, perhaps we should let our guest practice in peace. Blake waved her off without even looking. Stay out of this, Rebecca. We're just having a friendly wager. Emma's gaze dropped to her left hand, where a simple gold band encircled her ring finger. She twisted it once. A gesture so small. Only the most observant would notice. All right, she said quietly. Blake's eyebrows shot up, before his face settled into a triumphant smirk. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a show. Underscore 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 underscore. No one noticed the change in Emma's posture. The way her spine straightened. Her shoulders relaxed. Her feet shifting into perfect balance. No one recognized the expert grip. The controlled breathing pattern. And no one realized that the simple gold ring she wore once belonged to one of the most legendary snipers in SEAL Team 6 history. 3 years earlier, Emma had stood beneath a gray April sky. The crisp snap of the Honor Guard's rifles, cutting through the solemn silence at Arlington National Cemetery. The folded American flag, pressed against her chest, felt impossibly heavy as she watched her husband's casket lowered into the ground. Master Chief Nathan Miller had served his country for 15 years. An exceptional sniper. A ghost among warriors. The official report said helicopter crash. But Emma knew better. There were parts of his death that would remain classified forever. They had met in Burlington, Vermont, at a little downtown coffee shop. Two strangers, drawn together by fate. When Nathan returned from missions, he taught Emma how to shoot. If I'm gonna be away so much, he'd said, adjusting her stance, I want to know you can protect yourself. It began as a safety precaution and blossomed into something more. You're a natural, Nathan whispered. The first time she hit the bullseye. You've got the 3 things that matter most. Steady hands, perfect vision, and a calm heart. Now, standing in the elite shooters club, Emma felt those memories wash over her. She raised her Glock. Her breathing slow. Her body, remembering everything Nathan had taught her. The world narrowed to just 3 points. Horror. The gun. The target. Emma squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out. Sharp. Precise. The mechanical hum of the target retrieval system seemed to stretch forever. Blake leaned forward, his smirk faltering. The paper target arrived. A perfect hole. Dead center. Bullseye. A stunned silence. A vacuum of disbelief. Emma calmly set the Glock down. Unbothered. Blake grabbed the target, inspecting it furiously. Beginner's luck, he muttered. Anyone can get lucky once. Rebecca Johnson stepped forward, her professional mask slipping into genuine admiration. That was an exceptional shot, Ms. Miller. Emma nodded politely. Thank you. But Blake wasn't done. $50,000, he bellowed. If you can do it 3 times, in a row, at 75 yards. The crowd murmured, eyes wide. Was she really going to do it? Emma's answer was calm. Measured. I'll do it. On one condition. If I win. The $50,000 goes to the Veterans Support Foundation. Blake smirked. Fine. Not like you'll win anyway. Emma moved to the 75-yard mark. Rebecca leaned close. Ms. Miller. Mr. Radcliffe holds the club record at this distance. Emma simply nodded. I'll be fine. Blake turned to the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, he declared dramatically. Prepare to witness the most embarrassing moment in elite club history. He wasn't wrong. Just, not in the way he expected. Emma loaded the Glock. Steady hands. Calm heart. The first shot. Crack. Bullseye. The second shot. Crack. Another bullseye. Blake's face began to tighten. The crowd leaned in, breathless. Emma twisted her wedding ring once, remembering Nathan's steady hand on her shoulder. The third shot. Crack. Bullseye. The crowd erupted. Cheers, gasps, disbelief. Rebecca displayed the targets for all to see. 3 perfect bullseyes. Blake's face turned a dangerous shade of red. This is impossible, he hissed. She must have cheated. Rebecca intervened, her voice firm. Mr. Radcliffe, dozens of witnesses saw her performance. No tricks. No advantages. Emma gathered her things quietly, prepared to walk away. But Blake wasn't done. 1 week, he barked. A real competition. You and me. 10 stations. Different weapons, different distances. Emma hesitated. Then, the fire that Nathan had once nurtured sparked alive. I accept, she said. That night, Blake Radcliffe sat alone in his penthouse, swirling aged scotch. Fuming. He wasn't just angry. He was afraid. Afraid of what Emma Miller represented. Something money couldn't buy. Something skill couldn't fake. He picked up the phone. Dig into her past, he ordered. I want everything. Across town. Emma sat at her tiny kitchen table. Nathan's old shooting manual spread out before her. A simple wooden box sat nearby. Inside, his medals, his notes, and a promise. You'll keep practicing, he'd said. Even when I'm gone. Emma wasn't training to win a trophy. She was training to honor a life, to keep a promise. The next day, Blake's investigator called back. Sir, she's not just some accountant. Emma Miller is the widow of Master Chief Nathan Miller, a decorated Navy SEAL sniper, known among his peers as the Ghost. Blake paled. He knew that nickname. Everyone in the shooting world did. This wasn't just a competition anymore. This was a battle against a Ghost's legacy. Emma trained harder. Long-range rifles, handguns, different conditions, wind, rain, stress. Commander Wilson appeared at the range. An old SEAL friend of Nathan's. A mentor. You have his hands, Wilson said, smiling softly. And his heart. He handed her a notebook. Nathan's personal distance calculations. Formulas built from missions no one ever talked about. You're not just fighting for you, he said. You're fighting for all of us. Meanwhile, Blake wasn't resting. He pressured the elite shooters board. Changed competition rules. Weighted scoring in his favor. Final station. Long-range rifle. His specialty. His weapon. He smiled darkly. No one beats me, he muttered. Not even a Ghost's widow. The elite shooters club was electric. News had leaked. Crowds gathered. Reporters hovered. Emma arrived quietly. Dressed simply. Her only accessory, Nathan's ring. Blake arrived with fanfare. Cameras flashing. Smiling for the press. But inside, he was rattled. Underscore 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 underscore. The competition began. Station after station. Blake showed polished competition flair. Emma showed precision, grace under pressure. By station 8, they were tied. The crowd leaned in. A hush fell over the range. Underscore 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 underscore. At station 9, Emma noticed subtle tampering. Adjusted sights. Heavy trigger pulls. Nathan's words echoed. Adopt. Overcome. Emma did. Perfect shots. No complaints. No excuses. Blake grew desperate. Sweat beading under his designer cap. Station 10. The long-range Macmillan TAC 338. Blake's domain. His victory stage. He shot first. 9 out of 10. Near perfect. He smirked, certain he'd won. Emma stepped up. Took a deep breath. Felt Nathan's steady hand on her shoulder. In her heart. First shot. Bullseye. Second shot. Bullseye. 10th and final shot. A bright flash near her eye line. Someone trying to distract her. She blinked. Steadied. Focused. And fired. Bullseye. The crowd erupted. Rebecca announced it. Emma Miller. Winner. Blake lost it. You cheated, he screamed. You rigged the equipment. Security footage rolled, showing Blake's team tampering with firearms. Gasps filled the room. He wasn't just a sore loser now. He was a cheater. A fraud. Within days, Blake faced investigation. Sponsors dropped him. Tournaments banned him. Emma? She quietly donated the $50,000 to the Veterans Support Foundation. The board of the Elite Shooters Club offered her an honorary lifetime membership. She politely declined. I didn't come here to belong to a club, she said. I came to keep a promise. 6 months later, Emma stood at a new veterans shooting range. Funded by Blake's settlement. Staffed by veterans. Taught by Emma. Good morning, she smiled, addressing the first class. My name is Emma Miller. I'm not a champion. I'm not a soldier. I'm just someone who knows that sometimes the steadiest hands belong to those who've endured the most shaking. Nathan would be proud. Emma had found her voice, her mission, her peace. And it had all started with one perfect shot.